Alright, so we just listened to Northstar by BlackStratblues. Nikki, I know you told us just now that this song was written by the artist in front of his mother-in-law, basically just completely off the top of his head, just like what, for the lols?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he just wanted to show her what kind of music he writes and how it comes to him.
This guy's a bit of a show-off, man, right?
He's a pretty down-to-earth guy, though, to be fair.
So are all like the music that he makes, is it all kind of made this way, or does he have like a specific project in mind, or is most of his music just kind of like, I'm just gonna come up with something right now and I'm gonna do it?
Well, yeah, I don't think he sits down and says, let me do like a project. I don't think that's how he works. I think he loves to make music, so he just gets down and either plays songs that he already knows from like popular people like David Bowie or like Queen or Pink Floyd. But also, yeah, once he gets down to writing a song, he's done with it in a few months sometimes, a few days sometimes, but it's mostly just based on how he's feeling, I guess.
Mm. And you said that like this song is part of like some of his solo stuff, right? So BlackStratblues, you also mentioned that he has a band. Does the music differ between like his solo stuff and his band stuff?
No, so how it works is it's a solo project, but like since his music has all these instruments, he's working with other musicians. So his drummer is Jero Kavi, and his bass guitarist is Adi Mistry, and the person on keys is Bevan Fonseca. So they're all actually independent musicians, but they work together when he's releasing his music. So he releases it under the name BlackStratblues, which comprises of the four of them, and every time they go on tours, they're usually together and performing. But it's a solo project started by him. I think it was around 2007 or so that he released his debut album. It was called Nights in Shining Karma. So, yeah.
And can you maybe talk to us a little bit about where he maybe draws some of his influences with his music, and maybe how he came up with like his well, my question is where he draws his influence, but also if this particular song that we just listened to, the sound in that song is something that he it's like his sound, and all of his other songs or most of his other songs have similar melodies and sounding parts, or is every song unique in its tone and how it appears or sounds to people?
Yeah. So that's actually a good question, because I think it reflects a lot on some of the questions you asked earlier about how the music industry was so heavily dependent on Bollywood as well. Now, Warren comes from a generation that started to pioneer with independent music in India. He was one of the first few artists among others who got their influence from the Western world as well, and realized that no, we don't need to be making songs for movies to be musicians. So they were one of the first few people who started to release music on their own, recorded sometimes abroad, sometimes in India, based on whether they could do it in India. But I think most of his influence, comes from Pink Floyd, Queen, the Beatles, but he does have some elements of Indian music attached to it as well. It's not very clear in Northstar, but there is a song called Focus 3 where the percussion sort of follows a very similar rhythm to something that you would hear often in Indian music. And I don't think I can explain it with words, but when you hear it, you sort of feel it, and you can perceive it. So he does have some influence from Indian artists as well, and he comes from a family that encourages artistic talent and creative talent. So like I mentioned, his uncle is Loy from Shankar Ehsaan Loy, which is the most popular trio for more folk music but also fusion. So I think he does get some of his influence from that side as well, I suppose. But I forgot the second part of your question.
Just if the sound that he produces in this particular song, if it's a unique sound that kind of carries over to his other songs, or is this song unique
So I think in the sense of the instruments, yeah, if you listen to a song, or if I listen to a song, I'd know that it's BlackStratblues based on the nature of the sounds, but the way that the music feels is very varied based on the album, based on the song. And usually his song titles are very apt descriptions of what is going to come for you in the song. Like Northstar to me is something that I would listen to in the night, not during day when I'm going on a happy little walk. Like it's something I'd listen to like feel philosophical in some ways, like look at the stars, think of the sky, think of how little we all are in the aspect of life. But so he has some songs like Happy E-Friends or Too Cool for Sunday School, and those are very light-hearted. So you know it's BlackStratblues, but it's not all the same kind of music. I feel like there are some artists from India like Pratik Kuhad, and I will say that every song I listen to, I know it's Pratik Kuhad by both the feeling I get from it and the voice and the music. So he's not got mainstream music even to himself. He's got a lot of diversity within his music as well.
You mentioned earlier that let's see, is he based in Auckland now? Did you say?
No,
right?
music. Yeah, he's switching between Auckland and Bombay every now and then. Yeah.
Okay, is there a reason for that? Is it like more difficult for him to be making music in India, or is that just like for him specifically, he just wants to be in Auckland or something?
I guess it's personal. I'm not sure why he chose Auckland specifically, but he does have a family there now. His wife and daughter Nia, she's adorable. If y'all follow his Instagram, I think I follow it mainly for Nia. But anyway, so I don't think it has much to do with opportunities, because if Warren wanted to have gigs in India all year long, he would have people going to his gigs. It's a very niche group of people who go for his gigs, but they'll go. It's not like he has no avenue for his music in India.
And just kind of following up on that, would you say that he has an audience or a following outside of India, or is his listeners mainly based in India?
I'm not entirely sure. I guess a lot of his popularity does come from India, but he might be having a lot of things, especially since he's in Auckland now. I'm sure he has a network there which would help him, reach across to people outside of India as well. And his music is something that a lot of people can vibe to because it's not entirely Indian. So they can sort of, especially since it has like Queen influence and Pink Floyd, like Northstar has a lot of Pink Floyd influence, I think. And so I think a lot of people can vibe to his music. So.
And as I asked you about possible, how has he been influenced, but has he influenced any artist in India, would you say? Like, when was this song made or released?
Well, Northstar was released, I think, around 2017 or so, or just before that. But one thing you did ask also about was whether he had influence from, whether his style is unique to him also. Yeah. I think about that, he did mention on one of his Q&As that the reason why he doesn't encourage so much of releasing tutorials on YouTube these days is because he's got his own style from playing with his guitar for so long. He didn't have tutorials back in the day when he was learning the guitar. So his style is very unique to him because he sat with himself for so long. And I think even if his style doesn't per se influence someone else, it's definitely inspiring other people to be more creative with themselves. So I can't think of someone off the top of my head who has been directly influenced by him, but I do know that a lot of his fans do seek a lot of inspiration from him. Yeah, a lot.
So in some ways, he's, in addition to being a musician, you could say he's, I don't know, a philosopher in some ways, in that he's, making people, not only through his songs, but also through his, ideology and his method, making people, or encouraging people to reflect, upon...
No, man's got a cult following. Man's got a cult following.
He comes from a very talented family, as she mentioned, Loy. There is a trio very, very famous in India, Shankar, Ehsan, Loy. So the Shankar, the first name of that trio, Shankar Mahadevan, he has this song called Breathless. And basically, I haven't really gotten into the meaning of the song, but what I know about the song is that he has sang one song which is 6 minutes long in one breath.
Wow.
Some sensational stuff.
Wow.
Like,
Wait, so tell me a little bit more about that trio as well, because this will kind of shed light on like Warren as well, right? Like where he's come from, what kind of family he's come from.
Yeah, well, I can't say much about Shankar, Ehsan, Loy, but Warren doesn't talk so much about being heavily influenced by Loy directly. I
Right.
just think that being from a family that has an uncle who's into music that deeply
Mm-mm.
probably did allow him to go down that same route as well. But there's no nepotism involved, which I really love.
no,
Like,
because they have different kinds of music.
yeah.
Shankar
Right.
Ehsan, they are more into like typical Bollywood music.
Right.
I don't know if you have heard about this movie. Shah Rukh Khan was there in that movie. Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna.
Mm-mm.
So in that there is one very famous song, Mitwa. It's a very beautiful song. And that is again performed by Shankar Ehsan Loy. And one more song is there, Pretty Woman. The name is very English, but it's a Bollywood song. That was also performed by Shankar Ehsan Loy.
Mm-mm.
So if you guys ever get time, do listen to these two songs. It's a personal suggestion.
Oh man, we'll definitely do that. We'll also
Yeah.
put it up in a list, so after we release the episode, anyone who's listening right now, you'll be able to access all these songs. We'll link you up.
Yeah.
Another question I have, so the song Northstar, we were listening to it, it's very obviously like a progressive rock like song, that's the genre.
Yeah.
What kind of genres are popular in India outside of the stuff that's being produced by Bollywood? Like what kind of things have gained traction?
Today, I think almost any genre has its own importance, but yeah, I'd say a lot of people are getting into fusion a lot now,
Mm-mm.
a lot more than ever before.
Fusion. What do you mean exactly by like?
So you'd have like rock with Indian classical music. You'd have a cappella bands that are doing, like one really popular one is Pen Masala. I think they might have some, I'm not sure where their roots are, but they do music from both Indian movies as well as like really popular songs from the Western world. And they do an a cappella version which fuses both of them. So it's not like a medley, but they integrate both songs simultaneously. One really popular one is Jasne Bahara along with Viva La Vida, which is like Coldplay and like a Bollywood song, and you never think they go together, but they make it so beautiful. So you have all kinds of bands, all kinds of genres being covered now, but for me, I think that rock has like really caught on with the Indian crowd. They used to have a lot of fans in India of like Western bands, but now you're having Indian bands producing very similar music. The local train has music that has a lot of rock in it, in a way.
Good Western touch.
Yeah.
Quite a good Western touch. And in fact, I think it started from. It's a very old story. I can't remember, but there's one person, Vidya Walks. I think she was the one who started this trend. She mixed Closer by Chainsmokers with one Hindi song called Kabira. And from there, people just started mixing, and you will not believe today, there is one song by Justin Bieber and Kid Laroi, Stay.
Mm-hmm.
They have actually translated that whole song into Hindi.
Wow.
With the same tune, everything is same. They have
sang in
just
Hindi.
translated the lyrics in Hindi. And it fits perfectly.
Interesting. So I guess one more question before we move on to the next song. I'm assuming that prior to this, like the period that you were mentioning, 70s to like 2010s, like I'm guessing that the main way that people consume music would be through watching movies, right? Because most of the music would be produced in Bollywood, or at least the popular ones. So nowadays, like, how are most people consuming their music? Especially because more diversity now, it's more variety. How are people consuming music now in India?
Well, now we have more music platforms, streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. Most of these artists release it on all of them. I was surprised myself that like a year ago, very small artists, sometimes even my friends who are trying to produce music, are producing it on all platforms. So it's very interesting to see how we've really caught on to all these platforms that are popular everywhere else in the world, because that also means now that our music can go outside the world, into the world. So I think YouTube Music, it usually started off with like YouTube videos. That's how it started, I would
Yeah.
say. But now it's got on to like Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud is popular.
Ghana is
Ghana, yeah.
Ghana is another platform. One of my friend from my batch itself, he also started his own platform where he just covers all sorts of English music specifically.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it all started from last year, I'll say, from
Mm-mm.
2020 when COVID struck in. So it has been really great. You know, when I follow these people on Instagram, like people who studied with me, they are posting their own music, like and sometimes there have been a lot of collaborations with Hindi raps and English music, and they just put it on Spotify. It looks very good. It feels really good that I can probably say that I studied with those people.
Damn! Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, I guess now we gotta rope it back to Bollywood again, right? And we can listen to the next Bollywood song on the list. So LP, please introduce us to what we're gonna be listening to next.
Okay. What mood are you in? Are you in mood of some Indian food or like sad music?
Indian food?
You'll not believe it, there is a song on Indian food as well.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
I'm feeling hungry.
I'm hungry, man. Let's go.
So there is this movie called Dawat-e-Ishq, and the name of the song is also Dawat-e-Ishq. So I haven't really watched the movie, but then I am a big fan of this song, Dawat-e-Ishq. Dawat means food, and Ishq means love. So they have basically combined food and love. So this movie is played by two people, Aditya Roy Kapoor and Parineeti Chopra. I think you must be knowing the Jonas brothers, right?
Yeah.
And that Nick Jonas's wife, Priyanka Chopra. Parineeti Chopra is Priyanka Chopra's younger sister.
Okay.
So they are the protagonists of the story, and basically they are in love. And Aditya Roy Kapoor, the male protagonist, he has a restaurant, and he just expresses his love for Parineeti Chopra through varieties of food.
Wow. Okay.
That is a very good way to express your love, though, not just through varieties of food, but the offering of food.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big part of Indian culture.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Food and love is a combo that we can get behind.
Oh yeah. Amazing. So let's listen to this song.
Yeah, sure.